Thanks to WikiLeaks, we have learned invaluable information about the proxy war in Syria, which the New York Times has called one of the costliest covert action programs in the history of the CIA. Because of cables released by WikiLeaks, we know that well before this proxy war began, the US government was trying to find ways to overthrow the government of Bashar al-Assad in Syria. A leaked cable from 2006, written by the US Embassy in Damascus, assessed that the Syrian government's vulnerabilities included, quote, the potential threat to the regime from the increasing presence of transiting Islamist extremists, unquote. And it talked about how the US could, quote, improve the likelihood of such opportunities arising. Well, a major opportunity arose in 2011 with the outbreak of anti-government protests, and the US immediately turned to arming an insurgency that was dominated by these Islamist extremists that it had previously identified. So in 2013, we began to hear allegations of chemical weapons attacks by the Syrian government, and the insurgency used these allegations to call for direct US military intervention against Syria, which really was the insurgency's only hope of winning. And one such allegation came in April 2018, which was exposed by groups including WikiLeaks as a major Iraq WMD level deception. This came in the Syrian town of Douma, where insurgents accused Syria of dropping chemical weapons that killed dozens of people. And videos were even released showing dozens of dead bodies. Well, a series of leaks put up by WikiLeaks showed this to be another pro-war deception. These leaks were based on documents from the Organization for the Prohibition of Chemical Weapons, the OPCW. And these documents showed that the veteran OPCW inspectors who actually went to Douma to conduct their own investigation found no evidence of a chemical attack. And if you read their documents closely, they even raised the possibility that this incident was staged on the ground by insurgents seeking to trigger US military intervention, which is exactly what happened, because in response to the allegations in Douma, the Trump administration, along with Britain and France, bombed Syria.
Fellow Americans, a short time ago, I ordered the United States Armed Forces to launch precision strikes on targets associated with the chemical weapons capabilities of Syrian dictator Bashar al-Assad.
And what these leaks show is that after the OPCW inspectors returned from Syria and wrote a report on their findings, concluding that there was no evidence of a chemical attack, that report was doctored and censored. And a whole series of critical findings were kept from the public, including the assessment of expert German toxicologists who found that the symptoms seen in Douma had no correlation whatsoever to chlorine gas, which was the alleged weapon used by Syria. So these explosive leaks showed a major pro-war deception at the highest level, a cover-up. These leaks are extensive, they're all up on WikiLeaks, and amazingly, despite how damning they are, the US media has barely acknowledged them for a very simple reason. Their contents expose a pro-war deception and undermine a narrative that has been used to wage a proxy war in Syria and justify sanctions against it. And we would not know of their contents if not for the brave work of WikiLeaks.